Happy New Year and welcome to 2017. This is the first edition of Journalist Hangout. I'm Ayodele Ozubakun. Today we have a bumper package for you. Some of our esteemed fans across the country are hanging out with us today. They have traveled from different parts of Nigeria to be here. And we are glad they made it. Please put your hands together for everybody here. This special edition will last for 2 hours. You will hear from our fans here, and those of you at home will have just 1 minute per caller to contribute to the program. All our analysts are right here in the studio, and together we'll look back at the major events that shaped 2016 and get your reactions to them. In no particular order, please put your hands together for Babajide Kolade Otitoju. Lekon Shote. Gani Kayode Balogun, GKB. Alaji Goyega Akoshile. Charles Ideho. Ayo. Emeka Maduguna. Emeka Madunago. I'm sorry, Emeka, my good friend. Wahid Bakari. And Benga Onitilo. I also have one Otuma in the house, Yomi Olomofe. Femi Odere. And I call him MJ in the building, Mojis Daniel. And Neruve and Nakoko, Niger Delta activist. And that lady that is courageous enough to sit with cerebral journalist Stella Sawyer. In the newsroom, we call everybody gentlemen of the press. Mustafa Ogunshaki, Bola Olajuwon, Tunde Abaton, and last but not the least, Wale Adeoye. And I have my live audience in the house. Put your hands together for yourself. Gentlemen, I trust you had fun during the New Year celebration. Jide, how was your New Year celebration? Hope you went in the newsroom.
It was low key.
In the spirit of
I was broke.
Wale Adeoye, how was your New Year celebration?
It was great.
Great. So, at least somebody is smiling. Thank God. Agbenga is a whaler. How was your New Year celebration?
I was running.
You were running.
But it was fun. It was great. It was fun.
We go for this break now. When we come back, the program will start proper. Stay with us. It's still Journalist Hangout. Journalist Hangout. We're reaching you live from Television Continental, and we also have one of our resource persons in the house, Yinka Oyegbile. And not forgetting my friend from the Nation's newspaper, Adekunle Yusuf. "2016 was a great year for all of us here at Journalist Hangout. We discussed various issues affecting our lives as Nigerians, and we are glad that Nigerian government took note. For the first time in history of broadcasting in Nigeria, a sitting vice president, a former Nigerian military president, and a first lady called in on our show. Let us remind you about those moments. Ibrahim Babangida on the line. Hello, General.
Good evening.
Good evening, General. You are on to us live from Television Continental in Lagos, Nigeria.
TVC are doing very well.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for that endorsement, General.
Yes, because I watch you every day.
You watch us every day. We have joining us the Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Hello, Mr. Vice President.
Hello.
Thank you for joining us on Journalist Hangout.
Thank you very much. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Maybe you were quoted out of context because a lot of people will tell you that you are a proponent of restructuring the Federal Republic of Nigeria before you became the Vice President of Nigeria.
Okay.
So, has anything changed now, sir?
I think that the whole idea of restructuring Nigeria is a major concept. It's a huge thing. There are many issues surrounding it. For example, I have always been a strong believer in fiscal federalism. That is to say that the state must have more resources.
I have a call now, but that will be the wife of the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, that's Aisha Buhari. Good evening, madam.
A very good evening to you, Doctor.
Good evening. Good evening. Thank you for joining us on Journalist Hangout.
What measures are being put in place to ensure that all these materials get to them and they actually benefit from it without people having to divert such materials?
Yeah, actually, before my husband became the president of Nigeria, we had so many stories. But I know we have had so many stories about the food diversion. But me, I make sure that whatever comes to me would get to the people directly. That's why I have my own committee. I'm not saying that the NEMA people and the SEMA are not doing their best. They have done their best. A lot of people did, but still people are complaining. But I don't know whether they are diverting or not, but what is given to me will never be diverted.
Okay. Thank you so much, Madam Aisha Buhari, the wife of the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Thank you for joining us on Journalist Hangout. Thank you.
Before I ask you if you remember those moments, anytime I'm not here, I'm a reporter on the field. I travel a lot. I have people that stand in here for me. And one of them is just in the studio, my good brother, Dakpo Aruwajiri. Award-winning Aruwajiri. Veronica Onuchi is somewhere around the building. I'm sure before the end of this program, Veronica is going to join us. And I also have my line boss in the house, Asuko James. All right, gentlemen, I'm sure you remember those moments when the vice president called in, the former president called in from Germany. That's the former military president. MJ, can you remember that very day? And what was it like?
Yeah, it was such a fantastic experience. And you see, when you hear a former vice president calling on a live program.
A sitting vice president.
Oh, sorry, a sitting vice president. When if he calls in on the program, it shows you that the seat of power is actually in tune with what Nigerians are also echoing. It shows that they also have a listening ear. It gives a lot of credibility to that kind of a program. And I say kudos to everybody that has been part of Journalist Hangout since inception till date. Thank you very much.
Jide, it started from your phone that day. Because immediately, normally the ethics is that when you're coming into the studio, we are not allowed to bring in our phones. But Jide did something exceptional that day. Tell us.
Yeah, I usually do not, before that time, I usually did not bring my phone into the studio, but something told me to go against the norm. So I brought my phone in, and as we were criticizing the vice president, I was telling my friends that, look, do you want him to become an activist in government? He's enjoying right now, and you want the status quo to suddenly change. I didn't know that the man was watching us. So suddenly I saw...
So the visual you are seeing now is the Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria inside his office
on that day,
watching journalist Hangout that day.
So I just saw Laolu Akonde number. I mean, his call came in on my phone, and I told him, I said, see, it's like these people are watching us, they want to respond. I always like to sit beside the anchor. People won't understand why, but I can give instructions and I can easily tell him what's going on. So I passed the instruction onto the producers that they should call Laolu Akonde. And Laolu Akonde was there trying to defend the vice president. And the vice president was standing behind him. He thought he could do a better job of defending himself. So he took the phone from him. And the last thing Laolu said was, see, because we were like 5 minutes to the end of the program. So the last thing Laolu said was, you people must extend your program.
Laolu is the one just standing beside the vice president, as you can see.
So I took the decision right here that we should extend the program by 30 minutes. If I wasn't here on that day, I'm sure we wouldn't have been able to extend the program. But all things work for good, for those who love God.
Pastor, So we want to thank the Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria for just giving us that privilege. Beyond what you saw on television, we have just discussed various issues affecting our lives. As Nigerians, we have some journalists, people on the journalist hangouts that, they are always watching us. We are grateful for unrelenting following of our social media fans, especially on Twitter. On the program today, we celebrate at Gab Hunliman, very consistent, at Hami Giraffe 14. That is another one at Igwe T, consistent people. Is Grace Ash Stoba at Ibi Paga and at Simply Soon 14. Each of these guys sent more than 100 tweets to us in 2016. Our highest tweet came from at Gahun Limen. He's our tweet fan of the year. Please, a round of applause for him. So, we quickly take this commercial break. When we come back, we'll talk more. It's still Journalist Hangout, an abridged version reaching you from Lagos, Nigeria. We'll be right back after this section. Welcome back. It's an extended version of Journalist Hangout, first in the year 2017. Now, let's get down to business. For the next 1 hour, we'll be looking at the Nigerian economy, resurgence of militant activities in the Niger Delta, and President Buhari's fight against corruption in 2016. So let's begin with fuel price hike. How did it affect Nigerians, the Nigerian economy in the year 2016. Let me start from you. Bring out Onitilo.
Well, in 2016, the increase in fuel price hike was a major precursor for the hike in inflation rates. It's a major driver in the Nigerian economy. And if you also look at the wage bill that we spend monthly on importation, you find our petroleum products takes about close to 50 or 60% of imports, which impacts greatly on our Forex reserve. And you also look at that in terms of the impact it has on inflation itself. And so it tells you it's a major driver, because when you increase fuel price in an economy that is not a very productive one, it impacts on logistics, which is transportation. The bulk of it is even used to power offices and homes, because we have a serious problem with power in our country. So fuel price increase had a major impact on inflation rate that has also have impacted on the disposable income of people. So if you are looking at, if we cannot address the issue, because there is no really an alternative for people, for those that are into logistics, the logistics chain, you're talking about transportation, moving of goods, even from the farms back to the hinterlands, all over. You are looking at diesel, you are looking at petrol, you are looking at kerosene. So it's a major significant factor. So if we can't deal with that, because we're increasing the price of fuel, which also impacts on the price of fuel, transportation costs. And when transportation cost increases and there is no level of palliative, no subvention from anywhere, from the other logistics chain, it impacts grossly on everything. And also, it's part of what is impacting on our foreign reserve, because petroleum products, the wage bill we spend to import petroleum products into the country is also eating deep into our reserve, which is also impacting on the valuation of the naira. So it's critical. So when you touch the pricing of fuel or PMS in Nigeria, it has a rippling effect on every part of the economy.
Wale Adeyeye.
Well, I think we should take note of one very significant event, regarding the increase in fuel by President Buhari. We've had increase in fuel prices since 1999, and even beyond, before then, during the times of military rule and all that. Well, it was the first time that there was no groundswell of opposition. I remember when the last time that President Jonathan increased the fuel price, there was all sorts of demonstrations in Abuja, in Lagos, and everywhere. Probably because Buhari enjoyed public goodwill. The labor strike was not effective, so people felt we should give him that chance because of the manner in which he came to power. Now, going to almost after 1 year, after this increment in fuel hike, I'm not sure that it was the right decision that the government took, because the government wanted to remove subsidy and then to use the excess to boost the economy and all that. But I think almost after 1 year, most Nigerians will tell you that it's just a replay of what we have had in the past. There is no significant intervention that hike has been able to make in terms of transforming the Nigerian economy. So I think when you look at it at the end of the day, it was a policy that was self-serving and does not actually address the economic crisis, as wasn't the situation in the country. And I think it's really not a very good policy at the end of the day when you look at what is going on in the country.
Okay, because of our time, I would like to just tell us to restrict our intervention to just 60 seconds because we have to take so many topics. Babajide, at that time, in 2012, Nigerians came out to kick against the removal of fuel subsidy under former President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan. But it happened in 2016. And even Labour called, they called for an industrial action. It wasn't effective. But how will you assess that situation that is like postponing the evil day? It took us from 2012 down to 2016 before we could take that painful decision by removing subsidy.
We didn't really remove subsidy because as we speak, there's still subsidy. There's still subsidy because you observe that with the naira sliding dangerously, we still continue to.
The government will continue to augment.
We still continue to buy fuel at the same price. You can only do that if there is some form of subsidy. So subsidy.
That means the money they use in importing this.
And I will tell you that the bulk of petroleum products brought into the country, it is actually NNPC that is important, because the independent marketers,
they cannot
know that they cannot,
the volatility.
they can't make any kind of profit with the volatility that the naira is experiencing. So that's one. So there is still subsidy, no doubt about it, there is still subsidy. Secondly, that increase at the time remains the highest in Nigerian history. We've never had fuel price increase as high as the Muhammadu Buhari administration.
Let's remind ourselves from 87 naira to 145.
Yes. Good Lord Jonathan didn't attempt that, and we almost hurt him raw. I will tell you, when people say that there was not a groundswell of opposition against the fuel price hike, even in 2012, the opposition was not across the country. You need to check. You see, the greater resistance came from Lagos
and Abuja.
But this time around, the people who used to mobilize workers, especially bus drivers and the rest of them, yes, the people who used to mobilize them are now on the side of this government. So because they are on the side of this government, it was impossible for any form of success to be recorded in Lagos. I can tell you that because Lagos is the beating heart of the Nigerian economy.
Yes.
If we had, achieved some success by way of resistance,
commercial activities paralyzed in
it
Lagos,
will have forced the government to reduce the price, because that was what happened the last time. In all situations, you will find that even in Delta, it was successful in Delta. The civil servants refused to go to work. It was successful in Adamawa State. But Lagos is extremely crucial to the success of any form of resistance to unwholesome and illegal government actions. So because it didn't happen in Lagos, we knew that the strike was doomed to fail.
In 2016, a major problem, that's inability of states. Out of 36 states, at the point in time, 27 were not able to pay salaries. And they had to be given bailouts by the federal government of Nigeria. Let me call for intervention. Prince Yomi Olomofe. 2016, inability of state governments to pay workers' salary.
Thank you, Ayo. I think we should have seen that scenario coming on. And I want to premise it squarely at the doorstep of the kind of skewed and warped governance that is in practice here. There is no fiscal federalism. And everybody now looks up to the center. This has encouraged component states in this federal system to become lethargic, complacent, waiting every 22 working days for subvention to come from Abuja, not having anything of their own in the event that something fails to come from the center. So for me, I think until we begin to address very seriously the basis for which we want to continue to coexist, bailouts will, recall. I am crossing my fingers to see what will play out in this year 2017.
Thank you, Otumba.
Well, let me just somewhat echo what my friend just said. You see, we say we have a federal system, but the way it runs is that we have a unitary system, especially when it comes to fiscal matters. It used to be that states would make money and send money to the federal level. But now, the federal government takes the money and then begins to, can you imagine you take money from Bayelsa State to Abuja and then you send it back to Abuja again? To Bayelsa, I'm sorry. And so that's the kind of situation we have in this country, and it's going to always be like the states have become, they are no longer quite revenue centers now. They are cost centers. As a matter of fact, I keep saying that state governments are just super ministries of the federal government. They are just essentially super ministries. They just send money to them, including the local governments too. Send money to them. The same thing, Ministry of Niger Delta, the same thing, ND, whatever it is. They are just super ministries. Just send money to them. Then they now send money down to the ministries and then to the local governments.
On that note, let me quickly take this breather. When we come back, we'll talk more. It's still Journalist Hangout, live from Television Continental here in Lagos, Nigeria. Welcome back. This is Journalist Hangout, and this is our first edition for the year 2017. And I'm so happy in-house here. I have my live audience in-house here. Those fans that have been watching Journalist Hangout all through 2016. Some of them are live and direct in the studio of Television Continental. A round of applause for these wonderful people. Wow. When President Muhammadu Buhari went to the National Assembly, that's December 2015, and he laid down the 2016 budgets, that was the beginning of like a can of worm and a drama that trailed the 2016 budgets. Jide, I want you to take us on the journey of the drama associated with that budget.
Well, I think there are some interesting things happening in this administration. The APC is in power, but some of the most virulent critics of the administration are members of the APC, and they are in the National Assembly. Because perhaps the worst criticism of President Buhari's budget came from a man called Aliyu Dume, a senator from Borno State. It was at that point that I knew that, yes, a lot was wrong with that budget. Because the president praised the civil servants to high heavens. And I remember that on this program, we complained that these people do not deserve to be praised in this manner. It can only be that the president did not know them enough, because he was praising them and diminishing politicians, diminishing ministers. But the civil servants taught the president an exemplary lesson. With that budget, on the day the budget was presented on this program, I said, you are going to see how people would pad this budget. And I said that if President Buhari puts a gun to people's necks, it will not stop them from padding the budget. So that's exactly what happened. The budget was padded. Some of the subheads that we saw were very ridiculous. You see, before Jibrin now began to say, look, this is what has happened, this and that, we know that the trick is always that it is after the committee of the House has looked at the initial padding happened, was carried out by civil servants. But the second phase of the padding was handled.
So, padding
yes,
the phases.
The second phase was handled by civil servants, by the lawmakers. After the committee of the House looked at the budget document and it was sent to the appropriation committee to have a look, you use their experience to to dot the I's where necessary. They now use their own experience to pad the budget wholesale. So, at the end of the day, because there was disagreement, because in Nigeria, when you carry people along, even if you steal the whole country, you are not likely to be accused of corruption. But if you leave some people out, word will go out that you have stolen everything that the country owns. So this was exactly what happened. At the end of the day, Jibrin was asked to step aside. He still has to prove to me that he is the Puritan that is parading himself to be. He still needs to prove to me sufficiently, because this is a National Assembly that has a good number of kleptocrats, a good number of people who have gone there only to bleed the country. So let us even tell ourselves that, look, so much padding went into that last budget. And I can bet with my life that even this 2017 budget
is ongoing.
nothing will stop it from being padded. Some of, even on the evidence of even what I see, some of the subheads, I'm sure you have seen some snippets in the newspaper. Some of the subheads,
kitchen appliances,
points to padding. Padding even before the president laid it on the table for the National Assembly. So this is the way we are. If we do not steal at the level of, use the budget to steal, when it comes to constituency projects, National Assembly members, because the executive doesn't monitor constituency projects, National Assembly members will work with civil servants. Civil servants look like the cause of Nigeria. They will work with civil servants and ensure that they make sufficient money that they will now use to prepare for the next election. So the system has to change in the interest of the coming generation, because if we continue to bleed Nigeria at the rate we are going, honestly, I don't want to be a doomsday prophet, but if we continue at this rate, let me not complete the sentence.
Already turning to be one. The same thing, we discovered that, Jide told us that the padding, came in phases from the executive itself, and at a point in time, the legislature described, they declared that budget even missing. I remember that particular sitting. They said they couldn't find the 2016 budget.
Well, I think most Nigerians are not surprised, because the National Assembly itself has a lot of credibility problem. The issue of padding was raised, but what happened at the end of the day to the fundamental issue that were raised by the opposing sides? One party was suspended from the House, but they are not even talking about probing the issues that were raised by those that made allegations of graft. And also, if you look at the party itself, the APC, what happened at that National Assembly was a clear indication that the party is not united on how to run Nigeria. There is no unified focus, on
the aim and objective was just to chase away good luck Jonathan, and after then
there is lack of party discipline. There is lack of intra-party consultation and the failure of party caucuses. Because of what we have seen in the 80s, the days of UPN and all that, before you bring the budget to the National Assembly, there will be a series of caucuses within the ruling party. So at the end of the day, when you come to the National Assembly, it's a done deal. But for the fact that they have to wash their dirty lining in the public, shows that there is a lot of internal contradictions in the APC. And one should not be surprised because of the manner they came to power.
Bring annuity law in between. We had the tariff of electricity was came up. It was increased substantially. There was a court ruling. The court ruling, I don't know till tomorrow. It was not, it was not implemented. But as I'm talking to you, the price of electricity came up in 2016.
One of the things you need to look at is the framework that drove the sale of the assets, the discos and the gencos. You need to first start from there. Once you get wrong the framework, every other thing goes in a mess. Now you still have the transmission company still held by the federal government that lacks funding. It's not been funded. And you have the gencos telling you we are generating, but the transmission company cannot transmit because they have obsolete equipment. You still have the Gencos as well.
Why are they holding on to the transmission company?
Well, that's the question. I think you need to do more research and find out. There must be something they are generating from there. Meanwhile, you have billions being held the discos and the Gencos, even the federal government.
100 billion.
100 billion being hold them. So you can't imagine somebody coming into that kind of business and it's still being held by government. Also, look at this other side. Most of the people that own most of these companies today, they were ex-bankers, oil marketers, people that have no business in power business because they came into that business as rent seekers. All they just came to do was to generate revenue. That was all they thought about what it was. If you look at World Bank research, it says Nigeria will need, for the period of about 5 to 10 years, we are going to need over $20 billion worth of investment into our power sector. And you know what? Our banks in Nigeria don't even have that kind of funding to inject into that kind of industry. Meanwhile, the people that took over this company never even had the expertise. They never had the funding. But at the end of the day, it was signed up by the Goodluck Jonathan administration for these guys to be the one managing a very critical factor that is going to play a key role in how Nigeria advances in the future. So the way it is,
they gave them bailouts.
And even this present government, Fachola is saying he wants to give them bailouts as well. We don't even know whether they've given them the bailout. But for me,
after I've sold a product to you,
it's fully privatized. It's fully privatized. So the major link there, the transmission company, the question we should ask: why is the federal government holding on to it? Is a critical factor.
National security. Let me quickly take this break. It's still the extended version and the first edition of Journalist Hangout for the year 2017. So we'll go for this break. When we come back, we'll discuss more. Gentlemen, in between all this, we had the almighty Forex problem in 2016.
The albatross.
And I never knew the importance of dollar to Nigerian economy till we started having scarcity of dollars. Jide?
Actually, the value of your currency is dependent on the interplay of demand and supply. A few years ago, our Forex bill was $4 billion. And oil was, which is the mainstay of our economy, was generating so much foreign exchange for us. But suddenly, the price of oil went down. Not only that, some of the countries that used to buy crude oil from Nigeria stopped buying from us. Remember, America was our number one customer, or if I can use number one customer. America stopped buying from us. And then, to worsen matters, because of the restrictions and interventions that government made on the issue of Forex, JP Morgan threatened that it was going to blacklist Nigeria. That singular action led to an outflow of foreign investment from Nigeria.
I remember.
And one of the implications of the outflow of foreign investment for Nigeria is the scarcity of foreign exchange. Until you are able to address the issue of supply, there's nothing that we can do. Today, despite the fact that we need about 4 billion monthly, what we are able to generate is just about 1 billion. And added to that, the militants in the Niger Delta, they are destroying pipelines and other oil assets of Nigeria. So we lost 1.5 trillion in 10 months to the activities of vandals. So if they continue, and they are targeting export terminals, if they stop us from even exporting the product, how do we make money? So we are unable to make as much as we should make. And coupled with the fact that even the price has gone down significantly. So we have this problem. the cushions that we had some years back when we could use our reserves to defend the naira, nobody can try it now. Nobody can try it now. So I wish that the political leaders had listened to the former CBN governor who kept urging Nigeria to save for the rainy day. But every time we had money, governors will pile pressure on our former president to share the money. And they will point to that portion of the constitution that says all money made by Nigeria must be shared between the 3 tiers of government. But the thing is, I don't know the people who framed the constitution. I don't know what they were thinking or maybe what they were drinking at the time. There is no country, even the richest countries of the world, the most comfortable countries like Norway, probably one of the best places to live in. They've saved sufficiently in their sovereign wealth fund. Saudi Arabia, as we speak, is on the brink of recession, but they are battling it with the cushion that they have because they have so much money in the sovereign wealth fund. So, in our own case, when even the president attempted to increase what we had in the, the sovereign wealth fund, they took him to court. I remember, they took him to court that he must share it.
All right. Let me, Emeka Madunago, where is Emeka?
You got your name right this time.
Emeka, let's see how that Forex affected the airlines. Because I know 1 or 2 airlines actually pulled out.
It's unfortunate. The aviation industry has been badly hit by this Forex problem. You find out that a lot of airlines actually reduced their frequencies, they reduced their flights, and then now the cost of flying has gone so high, traveling abroad has gone so high. And you just find out that the Minister of State for Aviation, Hadi Sirika, he keeps lamenting. He doesn't come out to say that, okay, these are the solutions we're bringing, or this is what we think we need to do. He's not even engaging the stakeholders in the industry. So what we see are just, Nigerians have been left to their own fate.
Alhaji Akoshile, I thought there are some parastatal or the sectors that should be looked at by the federal government and help, with this Forex crisis. I thought the aviation industry is meant to be part of those organizations of priority, giving priority in this Forex crisis.
Well, I think if you're looking at that in isolation, it will be we'll be doing a lot of injustice to the entire Nigerian people, and not all of us. What's the percentage of Nigerians that fly?
You fly?
No, I'm talking. I'm talking about the entire Nigerian populace. The Forex issue, like Jide said, has become a major problem to the entire 200 million Nigerians. Now, everybody, even those who produce, I'll give you a very good example that I can relate to very easily. Look at the farm, the agriculture. When APC was coming into power, they were talking about agriculture, that era of oil should be over and Nigeria should go into agriculture. 2016, I don't know how many times they talked about agriculture, because the president understands that he cannot even talk about agriculture at this time. I can tell you about poultry farming, for example. If you are into poultry business, as we speak right now, you cannot make any profit except you have a poultry of about 20,000 birds capacity. Anything below that, quote me. Those who are poultry farmers, they're watching. If you have below 20,000 capacity, even at that, you are making less than 5% of your investment. Now, many poultry farmer friends of mine have closed down. Why? Because of Forex. Now, the feed of birds that you used to buy at 1,800 prior 2016 is now sold at 3,400 naira as at yesterday.
3,006.
It's now 3,006
for broiler finisher.
For broiler finisher. So look at the humongous rate. And do you now know the tragedy? for farmers, the tragic story for farmers is that the unit price of eggs have refused to go up because the average consumer who goes to the market, wants to buy at 800 naira per crate. So it's a problem for everybody, not just at the aviation.
Just that Jide did not tell me that he's also a poultry farmer. I don't understand. This one that the current price is so.
Manufacturing is also bad.
Wale Adewe, in 2016, the country officially went into recession. When my dear sister that speaks British English, Kemi Adeosun, when she came out, she told us we're on, technical recession. Yeah. That was the word. But let me quickly take Mustafa from Kaduna. Mustafa, assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum. Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, Mustafa.
Yes, I'm calling you from Kaduna. I want to contribute
Happy New Year to you, Mustafa.
Happy New Year. And Christmas in advance.
You are first caller, Mustafa. I celebrate you. Mustafa calling from Kaduna is our first caller in the year 2017.
I think we have been experiencing in this country. Majority of Nigerians would not like to tell the truth about the current situation. It is Buhari's fault, whether one likes it or not. Because you take, for example, the time he took before he
appointed his ministers.
He announced or he presented his cabinet members as the ministers. He took almost, I think, was it 3 months or so?
Six.
When he came out with the
to give us
with the
Onamechi Fashola,
he chose for that position for various ministries. Hello?
Yes, you're on.
The majority of Nigerians were disappointed. He proved to us that he doesn't know well-meaning Nigerians. People that are supposed to be posted to various ministries.
Okay, thank you, Mustafa. Mustafa is talking about the cabinet of Mr. President. Yeah. We went on technical recession according to Kemi Adeosun, but what we discovered that we're on recession.
Well, I think as early as 2014, in the build up to the 2015 election, it was clear that Nigeria was in a very big trouble. And we would have expected a proactive mayor by the APC. Look at Trump, for instance. He's coming to power this January, but they already set up an economic team. So for the first...
He has most of his cabinet members' names.
Assuming leadership. And we have a Nigerian who is a member of that economic team. So I think the capacity of this regime... Yeah, it's from Shagamu.
I know. It's not Nigeria.
His father is the first professor.
He's a Nigerian.
He's a Nigerian. His father is still alive.
No, we have Nigerians.
We have a lot of Nigerians. So you see,
the man who gives Texas, the man who provides Texas with power, is a Nigerian from Agowoye.
Okay, Jide, let's quickly take this break. We'll come back after this timeout. It's still Journalist Hangout. Stay with us.
Okay. Our guys, I just saw the remote.